Brother Ed, Southeast Washington, D.C. Seen the brother in the Avenue building. Just want to come by and say peace to the brother. Appreciate your work, the things you do, your art, your form, how you get the information out to the people. Really respect it. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. Peace.
Yes, sir. As I'm just asking our people, this brother right here, I ran into in the store. He says he watches Brother Sarnetta's TV, he watches Baba TV, and you heard what Baba J had to say. What's your take on, I already know, you know what I'm saying, because we are a people of feeling just like any other people. So it's really stupid in a way for me to even ask you, brother, because any human being would after a while explode. You know, I think that if white people found themselves, as Malcolm said, the victim of so much brutality and the unwillingness of the government just want to step in and do something about it, the intellectual maturity on the part of the whites would make them want to step in and do something. Now he says that, Malcolm says that we are developing some kind of intellectual maturity too, and we can see that having waited on the government has been a wait that has been in vain.
Now I have to be honest and first begin by saying that I don't even have a television, I don't have cable, so I mean I didn't even, I'm just hearing this information kind of on the streets and on the radio about this alleged brother who was a Army Reserve veteran who allegedly shot X amount of officers and one transit officer, is what I understand. My take on this is I have to look at it from the perspective of how it's presented in the media and have to always understand that there is an agenda. First, I hear a lot about police shooting unarmed black men, unarmed black women, little children, 7-year-old children throughout the country. And this will immediately create some type of tension and feelings and something to want to take some type of action as men. You want to be able to defend your family, your people, and your culture. However, I think that white supremacy, as I was just telling the brothers, they plan far in advance. They plan 40, 50, 100 years in advance to say, like chess games. They want to position things in certain ways, so therefore the reaction will be this way, so therefore we can come through with this. So I really believe that this whole thing is just something that has a deeper agenda than just what we're seeing. It's not just surface level. There is a deeper plan to incarcerate even more of us, to be able to put their police officers on corners with high-powered military-style weapons like we've seen in Ferguson. We're going to be driving up Georgia Avenue with military-style tanks, and to put fear into us. I mean, this is how I view it, and I just think this is just a step in something that has much more steps to go.
Messenger of God talking to Isis under her title, Mary, M-E-R-I, which means the beloved one. And so here the messenger of God tells Mary that though she has not known man, she will have the divine Son of God. In this second scene, this panel, this is Kanum. This is the entity that made man out of clay, or on the potter's wheel. Yeah. And here is Het Haru, what they call Hathor. Now, Het Haru is a symbol for a pregnant woman. Her name, Het Haru, means the house of horrors, which is her womb. All right. They are putting an ump to the mouth of Mary, the beloved one, and telling her that she just conceived the Son of God.
Wow.
All right. In this scene, the third scene over here, this is Mary sitting on the birthing stool, and the baby has just been born, being held by the third handmaiden on the right. And this is called the virgin birth. And in the fourth scene down here on the bottom, this is the baby, and everybody's down on their knees worshiping him or adoring him. This is called the adoration. So when the Romans created the original Catholic Church, they called it the Annunciation, the Immaculate Conception, the Virgin Birth, and the Adoration. But they wrote this up and said this happened to Jesus. But all of this had happened. This is the Egyptian story, which was on the wall. This temple was built in 1650 BC. So 1600 years before allegedly it was a Jesus, The Egyptians already
Was it like
had
the
this
12th
story.
dynasty or something?
In 1650 BC. Yeah, that's about now it's the 18th dynasty. Now the 18th dynasty, because this was Amenhotep III's addition to the temple. That might have been. It might have been before the. It might have been the 16th or 17th dynasty. Kind of getting old, so forgive me for that.
To cover the book.
Now Valley contribution to civilization. But this whole story is an Egyptian story, and what's written is a Kemetic story, right? And what's written, it was taken and recast with a cast of characters who comes from Palestine. All right, but the story is older than the story in Palestine.
Right.
But people who won't do any research, they're given this by this devil gives them to say this is the real word here. Now don't go do no research. I want you to believe it. And if nothing else, your salvation depends on your believing what I just told you. Don't use your brain. Don't be intelligent. Don't do no research. Don't find out what the truth is. Just believe that what I told you is the truth.
Right.
And that's what Christianity is based on, especially black Christianity. Because most black folks, hey, when the slave master gave them the Bible and said this is the story, black folks been running with that story like they can a football since 1619.
You better not say nothing about it too
loud.
Oh,
no. That's what I look. Now I used to teach at Howard University School of Theology under the dean, Kane Hope Felder. Used to bring me in every year to talk to his students. Because what you have to do to go out to be a minister in the community is one thing, but what you're teaching them in terms of its substance is something else. Do you want to minister to your people, or do you want to just keep running them a flim-flam? See, otherwise you could end up with those big guys like T.D. Jakes down there in Texas with this great big old thing, like great big man, or this reverend out here in PG County who had this big church who got mad when he broke away. He couldn't take the airplane and Mercedes with him. See, everything is draining black folk of their money because I got a flim-flam and I want you to believe this flim-flam. Give me your money, believe this and give me the money. Believe this and pass the plate. Pass the plate. I just gave my sermon. Pass the plate again. We're going to take a second collection up. There wasn't enough in the first collection. So the story is an ancient black story. So black folk kind of have what I call an intuitive level of understanding it, but as it's given to them on the surface, it's not true. And like I said, you could now this was a fresco. In other words, it was like plaster on a wall. It wasn't carved in the stone. They put this plaster up on the wall and painted, and carved it in this plaster. So what they'll tell you now, the tourist industry, you go over there, well, most of that has now fallen off the wall, so you can't see it. But there's this guy here. The first book with it in it is a book that he wrote called the Historical Jesus and the Mythical Christ by Gerald Massey. The second book that it's in is The Echoes of a Dark Old Land by Charles Finch. The third book that it's in is Nile Valley Contribution to Civilization. All have this same wall in the story, but the oldest one was written by this white boy in England, and when he put it out there, of course, the white English people ostracize him for putting it out there and attacking their religion. But what they don't know, what they believe is that what's been handed down to them, they believe that the white folks who was at the Council of Nicaea in 325, the Council of Chalcedon, the Council of Ephesus, the Council of Constantinople, the Second Council of, all of these councils between 325 and 700 AD, there were 5 ecumenical councils that the Catholic Church had to try to get the story straight. What they don't tell you, when they first put the story together, they argued about the big argument, what is the real nature of God? So at first you have 3 different groups of people. You have the group of people that say God has one nature. They were called monophysites, M-O-N-O, mono, then physical. Monophysite means one physical thing, right? But then they were arguing with these cats who were called dualists, who said God has 2 natures, both man and God. Then the third group came along to call themselves the Trinitarians, to say God has 3 natures, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. They argued for over 300 years about which policy was the one the church was going to accept. Now, when they finally settled on the idea that God had three natures, the guys who were the Monophysites left the church and went over into the deserts of Arabia and Syria, and the next thing you hear that is developed, all of a sudden, a prophet comes from that area saying God has one nature. His name was Muhammad.
Correct.
And they called him Allah. God is Allah. So the Monophysite doctrine is reintroduced back as the main doctrine, because what he says, the people of the book messed it up. God only has one nature. See? And so now, but you try to explain that to a modern American who has no idea, no clue about the philosophies behind the doctrines of their religion, they couldn't explain to you why they had to argue for 300 years. And this is just white people arguing. And then the white people came to a conclusion. That's it. So the Bible is based on European values and the customs and culture of Europe, having concluded that God has three natures. And what the nature and what the doctrine that came back out of Arabia is that no, God, you can't divide God up into pieces and this kind of thing. God is one. God is Allah. See, so now today the war of the worlds, as we call it, between Islam and the Christian West,
Right.
It's between these two camps, still arguing over the true nature of what God is. See, so, and the only way for you to know God, if you think God is something that's outside of you, somewhere off in outer space, someplace that they call heaven, you're in trouble. Because they'll tell you, if you understand the nature, God, the kingdom of heaven is within. See, like God is that spirit and nature that's inside of you when you come to its full consciousness. Just like Christ. Again, K-R-S-T was an Egyptian word which, they applied to the pharaohs who became the perfect man and was the perfect king. So it's talking about a level of perfection. But they take Christ and respell it. Instead of K-R-S-T, the Greeks, who had no word Christ nowhere in their culture before they created this religion, then they create this word called Christos. And then the Romans created it's called Christus, C-H-R-U-S-T-U-S. But all of them are foreign. Those are foreign forms of an ancient Nile Valley original term, the KRST. But that's a station that each person should strive to become themselves. See, you want to be a Christ in life. You want to become a Christ. That should be the real nature of what the religion is about. But what the white man did when he created his religion is to turn around and say there was one Christ. We know who he was. We killed him. And you're going to be saved when he come back. That's what I call the flim-flam. So they got all these folks waiting and hoping that the Christ that the Romans killed is going to come back. And they said, right? But just believe that one. But don't get to know that the nature of what the ancient Kemetic religion was about was developing the moral behavior and attitude where within the spirit within you that you would strive to become the Christ yourself. That's a station of your own mentality on how you carry yourself out in the world to become a Christ. Don't believe it was one that the white man killed, because that's a heck of a thing. The white man is telling you something powerful. Yeah, there was a God that was on earth, but we killed him. You believe in him, and we're going to continue to rule you. And that's what they do with their religion, carrying their religion around. And the black folks who have good intentions, but most of them have the intention of getting rich off of you, because most of them in these big mega. See, you got the big mega ones, then you got the little street corner ones. The brothers who don't know, I can't use the term, this is Bible TV,
Yes,
this is hard TV.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
those who don't know shit from Shinola, these street corner ministers, see, are going around pushing it for the one thing because they want to be somebody. But the big dudes with the big mega churches, they want to get rich. And the whole, just look at them, all of them. The big boy down there in Atlanta, he was strutting around talking stuff. Thousands of people going to his church every Sunday. Once they found out he was gay, he was taking brothers out having sex with him. What's his name, Bishop Eddie Long? Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, all of them, every one of them movements end up with somebody who is fooling the masses of people. And as they are fooling them, they're getting richer and richer and richer. One of the white boys, Jimmy Swaggart. Tammy and well, I don't remember Tammy's husband, but there was a white couple, Tammy and somebody back in they're Bakers, there you go. All flim flam artists. Oral Roberts, a flim flam artist. All these flim flammers have come along getting people who don't have very good intellectual skills in terms of using them to research and find out, follow behind these folks and give them all their money. They said, what did Oral Roberts tell the people back in the 1980s? If you all don't give me $1 million by Friday, God is going to kill me. And all these people all these people gave this white man all this money because he was Oral Roberts, saying that if they didn't if he didn't raise $1 million within a month or something, that God was going to take him home. But that's what flim flam artists do, and that's what modern religion has become. It's a flim flam, and I know it's a lot of people that are going to hate on me. I just develop a lot of haters, but I'm putting it out there, a divine truth. The nature of the God is in you. If there's any such thing as the holy spark in you that makes you human. The highest form of life on this planet are human beings, and the highest level of life on this planet is the human being who rises up from his animal nature to his full mental nature. That's the difference between us and all other life forms. We're the only ones that can take, creation, and we are the recreators. We're the only ones who recreate creation and make everything else. This used to be a tree. We turn sand and stone and things into all kinds. We take metal out the ground, melt it, put it together, make steel, make cars. We recreate original creation into products that we can use. We're the only life forms that do that. What do you call beavers? They make a little house, so they can make a dam. There are other animals, they're termites, they'll make a hard nest-like thing, there are other things that recreate a little bit. But to recreate the natural world into what we've done out here in the physical world, that ought to tell you what our potential is. But what we are missing is the correct spirit to manage it. One of the things the brother, again going back to the hero of Dallas, that he put out there, he said, why is it that white people like killing so many things? So many kinds of life forms. They like to hunt. They'll kill anything. Just kill, kill, kill. Why do you have a society that, hey, all right, I can understand the European experience was that their kings and the Catholic Church ruled them with a harshness unlike anything for 1,000 years. You talk about 1,000 years of the devil running the earth, it was the Catholic Church. It was the Catholic Church that created terrorism. They created waterboarding. The Catholic Church created putting a man on a rack and stretching him until they pulled his bones apart. The Catholic Church invented, branding people. All this stuff was done by the church during what they called the European Dark Ages. So the people who come out of that type of background, they're scared to death of everything. So they always want to have a gun around them. And they're scared that their government might come and take over. So they put a law in the books that, the citizens' right to own a firearm shall not be taken from them as such. But then you take one sentence and you stretch it to where you got people that have 50, 60 guns in their home. You got people that have, you open up secret walls and they got guns up and down, ammunition and stuff. They're ready to kill anything that might come, be it a Martian from outer space, be it that, knowing that they took this land and what they did to the Native American. Most white folks are scared one day the Native Americans might wake up and want to get even. They know what they did in capturing and bringing all the Africans here in captivity and put them into slavery. They're afraid that one day black folks might wake up and want to get even for being held in slavery for 200 years in this country. So they are scared to death because of all the evil that they did. And they know that evil begets evil. The evil that happened on Thursday and Friday. Thursday and Wednesday. Wednesday in Louisiana, Thursday in Minneapolis or Minnesota, those two evil acts by those police officers begot the evil that happened to those 5 police officers that got killed and the number of people who got wounded by that brother. See, evil brings evil up out of people. See, so hey, again, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but again, people have to stop trying to project this brother as this evil being. What happened to him, not just in Dallas, but he was also an Army veteran from the Afghan war. And a whole lot. The United States government knows this. The United States military knows this. The highest rate of soldiers coming back from those wars are killing themselves or committing atrocities. They have this PTSD. But they're not trying to say that about this brother because he killed 5 police officers, right? He's being
White police officers.
5 white police officers. He's being cast in the most negative terms that they can think of, because the last thing they want to happen is for anybody else to get the same idea that he got. But again, if they don't want the same thing to happen, again, what they better really concentrate on is training their police officers to stop murdering black men. I mean, you walk up to somebody with a gun and you shoot 4 times into a car, a woman and a baby in the back seat. I mean, hey, all you gotta do is say, hey man, get out the car. If I see you with your hand on the gun getting ready to point it toward me, I'm gonna defend myself. But none of that happened. He just, like, hey, because the brother said, I'm licensed to carry a firearm, and he murdered the brother. See, that's evil. And that kind of evil begot the evil that happened in Dallas. My brother, I'm going to put these back up on the shelf. And see, it's a lot of brothers talking about a lot of things that's important to them, but the things that are not important, they haven't figured out quite yet how to approach it and how to address it. And hopefully for the brothers out there in Black Power Land, if you want to check out anything I said, again, I told you the books. Again, Nile Valley Contribution to Civilization, and go to the panel, by Tony Browder. Or get the book by Dr. Charles Finch, Echoes of a Dark Old Land. And the last one, again, if you really want to get it, we don't have a copy of the book in stock here in the bookstore today, but it's called The Mythical Jesus, The Historical Jesus and the Mythical Christ by Gerald Massey. And in that book, again, you'll find that panel. And where it's explained exactly what it is. And so the people, don't let somebody tell you that's just a coincidence, that the whole Christian story is on the walls in ancient Egypt and had been there all those thousands of years before they came up with a version of it. And then they try to tell you something really kind of, in a way, they try to tell you in what I call a back doorway. For example, the book of Matthew, where the brother who translated the religion of Memphis, that they call it, or the doctrine of the city of Menepher, what we call Memphis today in Egypt, right? There were 3 different spiritual centers. Anu, they call Heliopolis, Menepher, which they call Memphis, and Waset, which they call Thebes. Now, in each one of the centers, they concentrated on telling the story from 3 different perspectives. They weren't 3 different religions. So you have the perspective from the creation of the whole universe from upriver at Waset. You have the story from the creation of our solar system out of Heliopolis, which is the story of the creation of our sun, and then everything from there. And then the last place is out of Menepher, you have the story of the creation of man. See, so it's the story of creation, but from 3 different perspectives. And so people who don't know tell the lie on the ancient people of the Nile Valley. They had all these gods and all these different religions because they couldn't really read the Metu Neter and understand what they were saying. We then and we today are still the people who use symbolic language more than anybody else. Hip-hop industry is based on symbolic language. When we say that sister is fat, we're not talking about her being big and overweight. We say P-H-A-T. We're talking about she's fine, as such, right? So we still use symbolism to express ourselves, and we understand what we mean. As I tell somebody now, in the ancient days, if you wanted to say that a man was as strong, today we use the same term, a man is strong as a bull. You hear that all the time, somebody's strong as a bull. Well, we draw the picture of a man's body and put a bull's head on top of it. And that's what we are talking about. We're not worshiping a bull-headed God. If we wanted to say that a man was as sly as a fox, which we still say today in our symbolic language today, right? But in the ancient days, we draw the picture of a man's body and put a fox head on it. Because we are talking about the nature of the animal that we see in the behavior of the man. So we're linking the nature, what's natural, what the divine created. See, an animal's nature is divine, created by God. But when we see that behavior in a human being, we can relate it just by picturing that animal and associating it with the human being. But when the European come along and he's confused and he see all this stuff and don't understand it, he gonna turn around and lie on the people and say, oh, they had 1,000 gods. They worship this and they worship that. Don't know what he's looking at. See, you have to understand the ancients and be taught by somebody who understood the ancients to really translate and teach the people what's going on. We have a lot of young men who's come, a lot of young soldiers, especially in the Northeast corridor, all right, who have read a lot and have a lot of information. And a lot of them are producing, like a lot of videos, and they're coming on talking about a lot of stuff. The only thing they don't have yet, they don't have the time to analyze and bring it back as wisdom. They can bring it back as it is. They're regurgitating back exactly what they have read. Again, one of the brothers, I'm not sure who you were interviewing. It wasn't Brother Seti.
Brother Pharaoh, young Pharaoh?
It might have been young. No, it wasn't young Pharaoh, but the brother said, yeah, these brothers are coming. They just regurgitating back. No, the brother, Brother Reggie. And that you did Brother Reggie, and Brother Reggie was trying to explain these brothers have got a lot of information, but they haven't yet pulled it together to bring it out with wisdom. They can bring it back just like they read it, but they can't apply it, like to the way where they're really lifting other people up. But I encourage the young brothers to keep reading, keep studying, keep moving forward. You don't expect from a 30-year-old what you expect to get from a 40-year-old. There's a reason why they said knowledge plus experience equals wisdom. The knowledge you're acquiring, the experience you get from the time you've had that knowledge and you're interacting with it. Then you develop what I call a position of wisdom to give it back to the people. That's why Brother Polite, Brother Reggie, their lectures and their information flow is different from young Pharaoh. Young Pharaoh has a lot of information that he rapid fire, that he's memorized, that he knows. Not just remember that he knows.
It was something that he said. You called me on the phone not too long ago and was like, he was on it talking about the Bible was based on astrology.
Oh yeah,
that's
true. Oh, absolutely. The whole thing is an astronomical thing. The 12 disciples. You're talking about the 12 signs of the zodiac. The 12 tribes of Israel. That's the 12 signs of the zodiac. It's zodiacal. It's dealing with understanding nature and how to apply it to our condition. It's not dealing with individual heroes and things. So you're right. The whole of the scriptures as written they're allegories and metaphors. It is not a literal story. If I'm so old, I don't know what they were using 25, 30 years ago. When I was in the first grade, we got a book. It was about stories about Dick and Jane and a little dog named Spot. Run, Spot, run. I know this is a story. There was no Dick and Jane that had a dog named Spot as such. It was just a way of trying to teach me to read. The scriptures are the same way. These are allegories to give you lessons. It was not a literal story. But the only way that we're like elementary students with this book. We only understand it on a literal level. We can't understand to read it and understand that these are allegories and these are lessons that teach men, like universal lessons. But again, with the young brother, when he was bringing it about the astronomical science, not astronomical, not astrological. I ain't talking about astrology. We're talking about astronomy. The movement again of the heavenly bodies and its impact on what happens down here on the earth. Those are also stories that's in the book, the scriptures.
So when some of the people I see be jumping on him, in the comment section saying, he don't know what the hell, that's pseudoscience. He don't know what the hell he talking about.
Well, they don't know what they're talking about. See, again, the brother was on the point, like I said, he's got a lot of information and his delivery wasn't in-depth enough for those people to understand. But an old hat like me, like you said, as soon as, hey, you sent it to me, and I'm looking at it, so, oh, yeah, he was on, I gave you a call. Yeah, he was on the point. Understand that a lot of this is astronomical science. It is not a literal story that you read like you're reading the story of Marco Polo going around the world as a world traveler or something. That's a story about a human being that did something. But these biblical
stories, allegories, or it's astronomical science. Again, for those who are taught, who have a higher level of knowledge, they know how to look at it and pull the science out of it. See, for those, again, it's like you can't teach I like to use a statement that Minister Farrakhan used at one time that I really liked. You know, with you get a little baby and you feed him pablum or cream of wheat. You know, soft. You can't feed him hard potato. And hard foods until he gets older, where where he can chew it up and swallow it. But you can break food down and make it creamy and soft to where a baby can eat it. Well, see, some of us only understand knowledge like it's baby food. That's the only way we can take it. It's like we're babies and it's baby food. We don't know that this same food, can be taken in on a higher level as whole foods and stuff. So some people only have the ability to understand some of this knowledge as if they were elementary students and like at the first grade, like they're eating cream of wheat.
And on the last note, I sent you another video where you heard Brother Polite talking about Brother Jesse Williams. Now I didn't even know who he was. I didn't know they'd say actor. Brother Sarnetta, we called each other on the phone, and he was like, "Brother, do you know who?" I said, "I never heard of the brother before." But after listening to what Brother Polite had to say, what's your take on that?
Well, before I address Brother Polite, let me put it this way. I never watched that TV show he plays on, so I had never seen him before, Jesse Williams. Right. I didn't watch the BET show.
Right.
My niece's birthday was the 1st of July. Mm-hmm. I took her out to lunch, the whole thing, right? And then she showed me a YouTube video of what this brother Jesse Williams said. She said, "Had you heard this? Unc, you into this? Had you heard this?" No, I didn't know anything about it. And I said, "Wow, man!" I said, "That guy, he might get fired for doing that." I mean, this brother, it was deep what he said. Very, very well spoken. I'm very well spoken, and the information given was in a beautiful way. And I thought no more about it until I talked to you, and you told me, "Well, everybody's mad because this cat's mother was white." I said, "What?"
I wasn't mad because he was talking to white folks. He wasn't talking to us.
Yeah,
he was talking to white folks.
I understand that, but I can't understand anybody who would say that wouldn't listen to what the brother would say just because his mother was white. Let me tell all African Americans in this society, all Africans live in this society, the hardest thing to find is a purebred African today that was brought over here from the context of the captivity and enslavement. Our whole experience has been one with breeding, all right, with all kinds of people. If not directly, like the number of sisters raped directly by the white man. I mean, the interaction with Native Americans, the interaction with people. I mean, then a pure African has a sister whose mother was white. I mean, it is hard to find a purebred African today in our population of what we call African Americans. So for anybody to stoop down to the level of saying, "I'm not going to listen to this person because one of his parents was not a pure black person," that's a stupid individual. So you don't want to deal with stupidity. Don't listen to the person that's complaining that makes that the problem. I agree with Brother Polite. Listen to what the brother said. Don't be jealous because you didn't say it. See, listen to what the brother said. He put his career on the line, but that doesn't even impact me that much about his career being put on the line. What he said were such deep truths. And the way he phrased it so that the white American population would really understand where we are at this point. See, again, what happened in Baton Rouge Wednesday and what happened in Minnesota on Thursday was a direct reflection of what he was saying. And what happened in Dallas Friday was also a reflection. If you listen to it, go back and watch it again. He also warned white America that condition can't keep happening with white police officers assassinating young black men before there'll be some type of retribution.
Brother Tehuti, I would just like to play the devil's advocate in this situation.
Okay.
Just to show the other side of what some people may be thinking. Now, you spoke about anyone that may say something against Jesse Williams because his mother may be white. Now, we have studied and we have read works such as, I'm trying to find The Great Chancellor Williams, The Destruction of Black Civilization.
Mhm.
And I know he goes into how the mulattoes were used as tools in the conquering of our people.
Good point.
They talk about in Aikwe Ahmad's 2000 Seasons, they talk about how the Arabs had enslaved black African women and made those children believe that part Arab in them was better, and those children grew up feeling as though they were better.
Yes.
So maybe this is the thought process that those people who are coming from, and they say, oh, we don't trust Jesse Williams. I don't even know what they said. I'm just going off what you're saying right now.
I mean, but you've given me an intelligent perspective to analyze.
Okay. So
that's what I appreciate. And what you're saying is true. Throughout our history, every time we've run into non-African people and interacted with them, and they end up having children with our people, the children they have with our people end up being the Trojan horse that has destroyed aspects of our culture and civilization. That's 100% correct. And again, Chancellor Williams, if those who haven't read it.
Not only that, John, not to cut y'all off, John Henry Clark called them the bastards of history. He never got a chance to read the book. I saw an excerpt of a video, and yeah, he spoke about that, called them the bastards of history. I'll say, hold on, I'll call us the bastards of history. I'm a dignified one. I'm a dignified bastard, though.
Okay, well, I'll go even further. The children of white men and black women in this country, especially going back in the early, from the 1700s, with the founding of this country, many times they freed their sons that they had with white women, and the foundation of the freed Negro in America during slavery. Most of the free blacks that were freed were the sons and daughters of white men who had raped white or black women. In one or two cases, they might even have been in love with the black woman they had the child with. But they freed their children and sent them off. And so the foundation of free blacks in America during the early 1800s were these mixed race kids. And when the opportunity came as such to make a decision as to stay here, let's go back and set up a country in Africa, the mixed race people not only led the fight against immigrating out of this country, the mixed race people had a series of conventions, and in the 1834, 1835 convention, forgive me for not remembering exactly which year, but the 5th National Negro Convention, the resolution which came out was said this: we will stop calling ourselves Africans. We will strike the name of Africa from the names of all of our institutions, and from henceforth we'll be known as people of color. 1835 was when this convention was held in the resolution. Most of the delegates there were mixed race people. In other words, what they're saying, a lot of people still think that after being in slavery so long, we forgot who we were. We didn't no longer know we were African. That's not true. Look at all the written correspondence and the letters from the brothers from the late 1700s, 1780 up to 1830. During that time period, most of the brothers signed their letter African. Read the letter written by Benjamin Banneker to Thomas Jefferson when he sent him that clock, not the clock, the almanac. All right, the first one done in this country, right? Read how he signed it. Read the letters of James Fortune. During that time period, there was a thing, being an African was not something to be ashamed of. But this convention made a deal with the American Colonization Society. We just had last week the celebration of the country's birthday, right? And they celebrated this big song written by Francis Scott Key. Well, Francis Scott Key was one of the main members of the American Colonization Society. And in exchange for the American Colonization Society to stop advocating to send them out of the country, these black folks passed this resolution saying we'll stop calling ourselves African and will be known as people of color, losing our identity. The deal they made to stay here. See, so when we talk about, mixed race people, our people have you're 100% correct. Our people have a long history of reasons why they should be respectful of things that some of these people do. It wasn't all, it was some of them. So that is correct. I agree with you 100%.
No, I go so far as to say it was the majority. It was the majority.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like, look,
Especially in the back during the times destruction of black civilization. That part of our history.
oh, that part of our history, yeah, it was absolute. But even the part of our history here in this, the wilderness of North America, like we have absolute instances where we have reasons not to trust them, mixed race people. So that is 100% true. So that could be a possible reason why some folks would say that. I will give them that. But I'm going to still go back to Brother Polite. Even if that's true, that's why they're suspectful of what he said. Go back and read what he said. Read the written text. And if that bothers, go back again and watch the YouTube video of what he said. Again, some of the greatest heroes that we've had in fighting for our condition in society have also been some mixed race brothers.
Yeah.
See, so you can't paint everybody with the same brush. But just in this instance, it would be stupid for us to engage in long discussions and conversation about the purpose that Jesse Williams had in the back of his mind for making his statement. Whatever the purpose was, what he said was dope. I mean, it was deep, and needs to be listened to and analyzed and studied. I can go back to what Brother Polite said. Go back and listen to it and hear what he said. Then, don't beat up the messenger. Listen to the message. See, that's I'll just stand with that. Listen to the message. I think the message was on time, and the message was one. It was prophetic because he wasn't the only one. In fact, on Friday morning, at my little volunteer spot, I was asked about the 2 murders that had just taken place, and I was telling the comptroller for the organization that, in my opinion, from what I'd heard on social media and from around friends of mine around the country, that if what happened in Louisiana and Minnesota haven't happened the way they did, I feared that it was going to be a retaliation because of those murders. And I had no idea it was going to happen Friday night in Texas. As such, I mean, you can see that. Okay.
One last question.
Okay.
Brother. So with this, what we were referring to as a retaliation, what do you think the response will now be? Because this is a national, maybe in a global situation. I mean, it's been spoken about all around the world, been propagated throughout the world through these medias. What do you think the response will be? Do you think something's going to happen bigger than just this brother here, or maybe different training of police officers, or more aggressive police officers, or what do you think?
Wow. I think one of the first reactions that we're going to see, some of these rogue police officers are going to want to get even. Again, I said this last year when the thing went down in Baltimore, and all of those police officers were indicted. And immediately afterwards, a whole bunch of suspicious deaths started occurring in the black community in the middle of the night, and it was always one brother out alone somewhere that ended up getting shot or killed. See, in my personal opinion, I think there are rogue police officers who go around late at night killing black men. But and because of the nature of the disintegration of our own community, for them to be able to say it was probably a drug-related killing or probably some type of gang warfare or something, that explanation seems to be feasible when the news reporter reads it on the air, because nobody is seeing who's killing these people. So I think first there might be a rash of killing of black people. But just like the police chief here in Washington, D.C. issued an order to all the police force that don't nobody go out alone, everybody be at least in pairs. All right, no single police riding around no more, so they want everybody doubling up. I would advise the same thing for a lot of young black men. Don't be out on the street late alone at night. Be out there in pairs. Now, the other thing is this that I think might happen. There might be just, again, an individual, white police officers, that are going to murder another brother. And it's, again, going to get caught on a cell phone video. And if that happens within the next 30 days, unfortunately, I believe it's going to probably cause a copycat for what Brother Johnson did in Dallas to pop up. It's not going to be the last time that a black man is going to retaliate against police forces if police forces keep murdering young black men. I mean, the hardest thing in the world is walking down the street and you're afraid that you might get shot by a policeman. You're driving down the street, you're afraid to stop your car if police pull you up for what? You haven't done anything. That fear that the police have put into a whole lot of black folk will probably cause a young black man to react irrationally in their sight for perceived fear, and he's going to move to protect himself. But I honestly do believe that before the end of the summer, that we're going to see another episode of what happened last week.
Kind of like on this subject, kind of makes my mind think about that. I'm probably pretty sure you've seen that that mural that's painted in, what is that, in the Denver airport. Are you familiar with that?
Nope. I will Google it tonight.
Yeah, make sure you do that. And it's very awkward, the art that is inside of this. I think it's an international airport, but it's in Denver, I believe. Denver? But either way, you go there and they have like murals of like police officers and like gas masks and the city burning and children. It's like, it's very scary looking.
Okay.
So make sure you check that out. Make sure you check that out, since you don't know about it, I guess.
Apocalyptic.
Great word, right?
Okay.
I mean, it's just kind of like going with the times right now. So,
well, again, images are often used symbolically to send all types of messages.
Yep.
All right, and it's what we call back in the 60s, they called it subliminal seduction. There are images they can put up that will affect you at your subconscious mind level. That consciously you walk by it and see it and won't react to it, but your subconscious mind see that image and it's stored it and it is reacting to it. So, I mean, subconsciously you can be in a state of fear. It's like the police out here come down the street all with gas masks and helmets and all dressed up like riot police or soldiers. Some people will automatically in a state of fear. All right, as such. So you always have to be careful about that kind of thing. I haven't seen that, but again, the thing that's tragic, and believe me, I'm not calling for this. I'm a 72-year-old man that's seen a whole lot here in the United States and around the world. So when you see stuff and you analyze it, what you've seen, I've been asked to give an analysis of what I've seen. So my analysis is that when you see certain kind of actions happen, in my experience, you expect to see other type of activity to happen. For every action, there's a reaction. That is the law of the universe. And you cannot always control the reactions. You know, like sometimes I'm going to do this, and then I want you to do this. I mean, it's like a man going to jump up and shoot a basketball, and people going to jump up in the stands and cheer. You know, like, but again, you keep, you know, like people keep observing young men getting shot, man laying down, police two men on top of him, the gun right in his chest, and then pat, 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 pat. Ain't no justification. What are you doing? You just can't keep watching that and not react. And the one thing that's coming down hard on the President of the United States, I feel kind of sorry for the brother. It wasn't exactly what he thought he was getting into when he got that job. But see, he's trying to explain this, or trying to come as an intelligent person and explain this. But you can't explain it. I mean, people are not stupid. You know, like, we're not cowards. We're not going to just keep walking around like sheep going to the slaughter and not react.